Hello, guys. This is welcome to this new edition of what we call as Sportsenti Perspectives. We've got a slew of experts with us today, and what we are going to discuss today is the IPL playoffs. Yes, people, the playoffs are around the corner. Today it's the 50th match, and despite this being the 50th match, we just have 6 or 7 matches left. We still have just one team that has qualified for the playoffs, and there are 6 other teams. There's just one other team that has got completely disqualified, that is CSK. The team that has qualified is Mumbai Indians. So we're left with 6 teams that are vying for 3 spots. So this is going to make for a very interesting watch and interesting follow over the next 2-3 days as we count down to the playoffs. Just to introduce the panel today, I've got with me Kaushik, who's dialing in from Dhanbad. But Kaushik is a KKR fan. So we'll talk to Kaushik about the about chances of KKR, especially after yesterday's match. We've got Harsh, who's dialing in from Mumbai. But then he says Mumbai is already qualified, so why don't I support KXIP? So he's the one who's going to talk about KXIP today. We've got Mayuresh, who is a very keen follower. You may have seen him on many occasions on Sportsenti tips videos. He's one of the sorry, excuse me, guys. So he's one of the top performers in PlayCKC app. But today, Mayuresh, who's a quintessential MI fan and a quintessential KKR fan, we've put him on a spot. He deserves that spot simply because he's that kind of player. We will ask him about Rajasthan Royals today. Then we've got Kriti, and Kriti it was a little simple. Although she is a supporter of Delhi Capitals. She belongs to that city. She was born in Kolkata. She's also a KKR supporter. And the fact is, she right now lives in Bangalore. So we decided to, give her the mantle of taking Bangalore through. We've got another person from Bangalore, Abhishek, who you've seen many times. Also, Kriti and Abhishek, both these guys have been on a lot of Sportsenti tips videos. Abhishek today is the one who has a broken heart. He's a big CSK fan, and despite CSK putting in some fabulous performances over the last couple of matches, CSK is out, and very reluctantly, with a very heavy heart, is taken on Delhi. And at the last of it, at the end, we've got somebody who's dialing in from Jim Corbett. Can you believe it, people? I mean, this is one guy who didn't want to miss out on this very special edition. And we've got Rohan, who's from Delhi, but he doesn't want to support Delhi. Who's right now in Corbett. He doesn't want to support Punjab. Also, he lives in Hyderabad, and I'm guessing it's the love of the biryani that has kept him going. That even despite the fact that he's in Corbett, has managed to find some connection, which is internet connection. Managed to dial in, and he's gonna support his home team, which is SRH. All right, guys. So so that was fairly long, I believe. So I won't keep you guys, listening to this monologue for too long. I'll just go straight in. So Mumbai Indians is qualified. CSK has been dumped out. We've got a total of 7 matches left. Right? Okay. So we will start by evaluating each team's chances for making the playoffs. And I will start with you, Kaushik. And I want to discuss with you about KKR's chances. It was a tough loss for them yesterday. They lost in the last 2 overs. And essentially, they were the favorites going into the 19th over. So I want to talk to you about KKR's chances of making the playoffs. I will just pull up the big screen also, and you can start, Kaushik.
Before I talk about the chances that KKR has, I would like to talk about the situation that they have put themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, right from when we used to play during our club days, we were told by our coaches that one should not lose against weaker teams, and one should not, should always try to win couple of some of the matches against the stronger team, so that you stay somewhere in middle of the table, and when it comes to playoff, you are not in a tricky situation. And KKR has actually done the opposite of it, and this shows the mismanagement again. Uh, Previously, I spoke about the team not being selected properly, the captain. There was so many confusion about the captaincy, things like that. And then again, uh, if you see, they did not even manage their maths as well. They did not work on their stats as well. They are not good in their net run rate as well. So if we used to talk about maintaining the net run rate during the ODI times, now it's T20. That's the most primary thing that you should do, and they did not manage to do that as well. So the chances are very bleak, and I really hope that they make it. Uh, Even if they win both the matches, sorry, even if they win against Rajasthan Royals, which I think is a possibility. Uh, Comparatively, Rajasthan Royals is a younger team, so I think on basis of experience of Ian Morgan and uh, the likes of Dinesh Karthik, they are quite seasoned cricketers. I think they will be able to pull it through. The youngsters are also doing well in the team. Varun is doing well. I hope Sunil Narayan will do well. So I still think there is some chance left for them. They can win the match against Rajasthan Royals. But again, they will have to hope that Kings 11 will have to perform really bad, and that's not a very good situation to be in.
Indeed, indeed. You're absolutely right. They've not taken care of their net run rate, and that is why they are in this situation. Even if they win very big against Rajasthan Royals, they still have to hope that Kings 11 loses both their matches,
Yeah,
or at least because if they win even one of their matches, their net run rate will improve. And currently, KXIP's net run rate is far better than KKR. So
yeah.
yeah, I think chances looking bleak for KKR. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Kaushik. We'll talk about RCB's chances. Kriti, RCB has faced a couple of losses. They were flying really high, and suddenly they've obviously lost against CSK, which was a surprise loss. They also lost against MI that day, which was a tight game. Uh, so how do you like their chances?
Uh, all right. So that's actually interesting because I was just looking at the points table, and if you could pull up the table once again, that would be great. Uh, RCB's net run rate is much lower compared to Mumbai Indians, and but it is still higher than most of them, except for SRH, where we can clearly see that SRH is. I mean, if they pull it off and really win their two matches, I'm really worried about RCB. But until that point, RCB seems, or rather, no, it doesn't seem too great, but I want it to be great. I'm really banking on the performance of Kohli and AB de Villiers. I really want them to just blow these upcoming matches off. But yes, uh, honestly, compared to those teams which are sitting in negative net run rate, I think RCB has pretty good chances.
Okay, so yeah, I think RCB's chances are bright, as you rightly put. They have two matches in hand. They're already at 14. They've got a healthy net run rate. Even I mean, amongst all the contenders, they have. I mean, real contenders. We're talking about RCB and Delhi Capitals, which are already at 14 points with two matches in hand. So they are real strong contenders to make the playoffs, and they are, RCB is in a very strong position that way. So not all is lost. We'll talk about the other table topper. We'll talk about Delhi Capitals now, and they've been performing well, but it has been sort of a they're in a slide right now. I mean, they were occupying the top spot in the points table for so long, and currently they are on third because of the three losses that they have suffered recently. So we'll talk to Abhishek about Delhi Capitals' chances. Do you think they are still very in a very strong position to still make it? I mean,
I think Delhi is in a very vulnerable position right now. They have two very tough games. They have to face MI and RCB. And so what happens is Delhi is currently at 14. So if they lose both their matches, they remain on 14 points. Then, interestingly, both KKR and Kings 11 Punjab play Rajasthan Royals their last match. So there's a lot of dependency there. So if both KKR and KXIP wins, which means both of them will go to 14 points. DC has 14 points, but if they lose both the matches, net run rate wise, they'll come down. So which means there's a possibility that DC and CSK might get disqualified because there'll be then three teams with 14 points fighting for that fourth position. So there's a lot of ifs and buts right now. One of them between KKR and Kings 11 Punjab losing to RR means DC is in a safe position, because or else the best chances is they go all out and win against MI and RCB. But then MI has qualified hoping that they might do some changes, etc. Want to try out something, so they might have that kind of a scenario coming in. So but RCB is hungry because even they are trying to secure a spot. So I think it's a very tricky situation right now for the Delhi Capitals.
I really hope RCB wins though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, in fact, you're right, Abhishek. Delhi Capitals suddenly find themselves in a tricky spot.
Very tricky spot.
Very tricky spot. And the fact that the last two matches are against the top two teams doesn't make it easy.
Right. And what happens is if they lose both their matches against MI and RCB, their net run rate also goes down.
Yes, indeed.
So which means that, with three teams at 14 points, I'm assuming that KKR and Kings 11 Punjab beats RR. Because KKR has only one game, Kings 11 has two more matches. So I'm assuming if they both win their matches, then there are three teams with 14 points at hung there. So then on the net run rate basis, then it might be MI, RCB between KKR and Kings 11 Punjab, or an SRH pops in somewhere. Very difficult.
Indeed. All right.
Especially because they have two very tough matches, because they have to face MI and RCB in the next week.
Absolutely agree. Thank you so much, Abhishek. Why don't we move to the next team, a team which has made us all sit up and take notice in a way. This is Kings 11 Punjab. They have actually had a tournament of two halves, if you look at it that way. And this is the contrast is even more stark as compared to Delhi Capitals. I mean, suddenly when they were at the bottom of the table, really struggling in a big way. Currently, they are at number 5. They've got, and they can still reach 16 points, if they win the last two matches. And if you look at it, their matches are against Rajasthan Royals and then CSK. So, Harsh, I will come to you, and I want you to talk to us about KXIP's chances.
Yeah, I think you rightly put it, the fact that it is a tournament of two halves for them. But I think it's a first match they were very unlucky. I really feel for that even today. But it's okay. It's a part and parcel of the game. But right now, if you talk about Kings 11 chances, I think they have the momentum with them. They have won 5 matches on streak, and RR has been inconsistent. So today we have a match of Kings 11 Punjab versus Rajasthan, which is a very interesting match today. I think and Kings 11 Punjab has all the momentum. But the only worry for Kings 11 Punjab would be the exclusion or the unknown factor of Mayank Agarwal. He has been a consistent performer for them, but if he's fit, then I think Kings 11 Punjab will go through today. But RR on the other side has been a little, up and down. They started very well. Sanju Samson started very well, then they declined, and then they again rose up using, in the last match, Ben Stokes hitting 100. So they are peaking. Maybe is it the right time to peak? It only the time will tell. But as far as Kings 11 Punjab is concerned, with RR today, I think they have the edge. And the next match with CSK, I just, if they win today, they will be with the 14 points at least. But yes, 2 points, 2 matches will be crucial on the run rate perspective also, because they have a lesser, in the negative run rate. So even if they, they stay with the 14 points, they lose one of the matches, either with RR or with CSK. They have to ensure that they don't lose it with a very large margin. At least that's the bare minimum that they can do. But because there are other negative point holders also, so the margin will be the key for Kings 11 Punjab. If they are going to lose, and if they are going to win, they make sure that they win it with a considerable margin, so that their run rate goes a little higher. So I believe Kings 11 Punjab will go through, because it's the momentum plus it's a Kumble factor. So yeah, I'm with them.
Very interesting. You mentioned the Kumble factor as well. I mean, it's KXIP, and yesterday we were discussing this. KXIP is actually Karnataka 11, rather than, it's because you've got Rahul, you've got so many, Rahul, Mayank Agarwal. There are so many people from Karnataka who are playing for KXIP. But you like KXIP's chances. I think a lot of people do. They've been the informed team. They are the informed team. They are coming on the back of 5 wins, 5-win streak, and they would want to continue with that.
And not to mention, I mean, Chris Gale, he's the boss. He has came to form. I mean, number 3, batting at number 3. This is the first time anybody can see him at number 3 and not at the top of the order. But he has done well. I mean, good sign for them.
No, he's definitely been the X factor. There's no question. There's no denying that. He has suddenly, given that flexibility, get that confidence to KL Rahul, to even KL Rahul to, start playing his strokes, and they can now fiddle with the order a little bit. Mayank is not playing. So they played Mandeep Singh in the last match at the top. And, this middle over enforcer is becoming a key role, because that's where a lot of teams are struggling to score runs. In the last MI match, we saw how Surya Kumar Yadav, really shored up the innings in the middle overs. So middle overs is the crucial phase, right? So yeah, I think that's where Gale comes in handy. You had Nicholas Pooran also, but Gale and Nicholas Pooran, they make some handy combination. Okay, thank you so much, Harsh. Thanks for your inputs. We'll now move to 2 teams which are still, I mean, they are still in with a chance, but they'll find it tough. We'll start with Rajasthan Royals, and Rajasthan Royals, they've had a sort of a mixed bag. I mean, they would obviously hope that the last performance against Mumbai Indians, where they were like all over the number 1 ranked team, they defeated them quite comprehensively. 2 important things happened in that match. You had Ben Stokes coming to form, and we know how big a difference he can make. Plus, we had Sanju Samson also coming back to form. So, those 2 are going to be key things. We'll have Mayuresh talk about Rajasthan Royals' chances, though. Mayuresh, what do you think?
Okay, before I make a start, I think last time Rajasthan Royals beat Mumbai Indians, and I think I'll just go backwards, where RCB and Kings 11, after they beat Mumbai, they went on a roll actually. So RCB had Kings 11 had a do-or-die match against Mumbai, which they won in a double super over kind of a thing. And after they went on a roll. So I think that if that trend goes, I think Rajasthan has got a full confidence to go. The other 2 factors are Rajasthan are going to play against the 2 teams who are in the contention of playoffs. So the pressure is equally on both the teams, and moreover, Rajasthan knows that they lose any match, they are out of it. Not like a Kings 11 who knows that, okay, even though I lose today's match, I can still go and win against the CSK and I can still qualify. So for me, Rajasthan, looking at the last performance against Mumbai, if they win against both the teams with the handsome margins, I think they can go to the playoff, and they have a team. I think the combination is coming up. Still, I feel Butler is somebody who should come at the top of the order. With Uthappa and Stokes should move in middle of like let's say 5 or 6. But that's okay. But I hope they play the way they played against Mumbai and they win, because I think today's match is going to be the crucial match from the IPL perspective. I think whoever wins, whatever the tournament is going to get more excited. If RR wins, it is going to make more sense into the last 6 matches, because then every match is going to be like an eliminator. Except DC versus MI or something like that. But I think today's match is going to be a key where we will know whether there are still 6 teams in the contention or only the 5 teams in the contention. And moreover, I think the run rate may improve. I think that's what. I think RR has a toughest job, that they have to win both the matches, and not only win with the larger margin.
Okay, that's true. I think you still like their chances though, and maybe Rajasthan Royals is coming back into contention. Maybe they after beating Mumbai, they are on that high. Of course, it gives great confidence to everybody involved if you beat the #1 ranked team. All right, okay. So you like RR's chances. We want to now talk to Rohan about SRH's chances. SRH has had a sort of a similar season, as compared to when compared to Rajasthan Royals. Similar season, blowing hot and cold. They obviously won their last match very comprehensively. So what do you think, Rohan? How do you like their chances?
I think the chances are, according to me, is very bleak, because the thing is, the next 2 matches are against the top 2 teams. Although Mumbai Indians has qualified for the same, but I don't think so. They will be losing they will be they want to go with a very high confidence into the playoffs because their one of the top players is missing. Like Rohit Sharma is not playing because of the injury, so they want to confirm that their batting unit is quite stable. And the next matches, I think, against RCB. Given the fact that RCB, this is the second best performance they're giving. So I after 2010 IPL, I think these both teams will come at full throttle against SRH. I hope that as the points table point out, that the net run rate is pretty good for SRH, but the chances are still very bleak for them to qualify, because the matches are the lined up matches are pretty crucial for both the opponents as well. So chances are I don't think so. They will be qualifying for the stadium until unless some miracle happens. Until unless the other teams which are vying for the spots doesn't fare well, but that also cannot be ruled out, that those teams which have been on the top 4 deserve that place because they have played that well. So SRH, no good luck for this time. Let's see in the next IPL.
Okay, all right. So you don't like SRH's chances, all right. Great people. I think we've got some wonderful insights. You've got Harsh, who likes KXIP's chances. There is Kriti, who likes RCB's chances. On the other hand, we have Kaushik, who thinks clearly KKR is down and out. Very bleak chance. Same with Rohan. Feels SRH is mostly out given their matchups, the 2 matches that they have in hand. So very interesting perspective. I mean, if I look at 16 points as a clear qualification criteria, Mumbai is already there. They don't need to do too much. RCB can get there if they win 1 match out of the remaining 2. And that 1 match is so obviously RCB has 1 match against SRH, and the other match is against Delhi Capitals. Now, again, Delhi Capitals can also reach 16 points if they win 1 of the 2. They have 1 against MI, so that will not be easy. But yeah, I mean, if MI doesn't care, then Delhi Capitals can reach 16. You've got KXIP also, who can reach 16 points. So KXIP will need to win both their matches, and the two matches are going to be against Rajasthan Royals and and CSK. So 16 is the criteria. Let's assume that on 16 points you qualify without taking into consideration any net run rate. Let's talk about 14 points. Because 14 is the minimum you need. You're not qualifying on 12 points. For sure, you're not qualifying on 12 points because clearly there'll be more than 4 teams on 14. That is going to happen. So let me ask this, people. How many teams can finish on 14? Now, for finishing on 14, RCB and Delhi Capitals are already there, so they don't have to do anything. KXIP has to win one, KKR has to win one, SRH and RR have to win both their matches. Why don't I go one by one? Abhishek, the team that you are supporting, do you think so? Delhi Capitals already at 14 points, so yeah. I don't have to ask you. I'm skipping you. Harsh, I will come to you, and I want to ask you. I know you like KXIP's chances. You think they'll finish on 14 or more than 14 points?
They will finish more than 14. I think it's because of all the factors. Yes, I believe. Other than that, I believe there will be a strong competition between KXIP and either KKR or I think KKR, because KKR versus RR will be a do or die for them. So then there will be a competition on the run rate, net run rate.
All right.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. So I will move to, so I'll skip Kriti because RCB is already on 14. Let's talk to Kaushik. Kaushik, what do you think? Do you think KKR will win their last match? And that match is against RR. So it's actually going to be either RR or KKR that will finish on 14 because RR needs to win both their matches to reach 14. Yes. KKR needs to win. KKR just has one match in hand and they need to win that to reach 14. So do you like, KKR's chances against Rajasthan Royals?
If they really try hard, they can, and I am hopeful they will. Okay. Because they have the team, all they have to do is just organize it properly, plan it out properly, the matches, the batting lineup, and use the bowlers correctly. So if they plan it out, if they play with, proper composure in the games, they can really make it. I think they will.
Okay. All right. So those two were easy, KXIP and KKR, because they just have to win. In fact, KKR was just one match.
Only one game.
But just one game, but at least KXIP has 2 games. But let me come to the other 2 teams, SRH and RR. They have to win both their matches. I know the sentiments of Rohan. He doesn't like their chances because the 2 matches are going to be against MI and MI and RCB, right? So SRH. But Rohan, you think they can win 2? You don't think so, right?
Yeah, but I cannot also rule out that possibility that their team is really good, and if they can, there is a big if, because they are, I think, at the bottom 3. So there is a very big if that a miracle happens and they can pull out the big 2 because the team is pretty good. Their team is volatile sort of a thing, but yeah, if they can pull out, the chances are there they can come to 40. But again, I'll say there's a big if.
Indeed. So it's only going to be one of Rajasthan Royals or KKR, given that they have one match against. In fact, Rajasthan Royals. We're talking about SRH. So yeah, SRH has a tough job on their hands. But let's talk about Rajasthan Royals now. Mayuresh, they have to win both their matches to reach 14 points.
Yes. I think they have got much tougher job than any other teams in the tops. I think all the 6 teams who have got a chance to qualify, I think they have got the toughest job to do apart from KKR. But let's say if I want to go with the permutation combination, let's say out of these 6 teams, there can be a possibility that one team will finish on 16 if all the result goes via all the mathematics and it goes right. One team out of RCB or DC will finish on 16, and there can be a possibility that four teams can finish on 14 points. So taking that combination, I still hope there is a chances there can be two spots open for another teams also. So I hope they do something after MI's performance against MI. I'm expecting them to perform well. So let's see. But it looks difficult for RR. The toughest, I think the least, if I want to give a chance wise, if the percentage wise, I think RR has got the least percentage to qualify for the playoffs.
Okay. All right. I think indeed they have a tough job on their hands. So, very, very much possible that, one of RCB or DC will reach 16 points. So they will qualify. And as Mayuresh rightly said, that will mean, and only one of KKR and RR can finish on 14. So which means that, you may have, you may have four teams on 14 points, right? So, if one of RCB or DC go up to 16 because they have a matchup, then, the other team stays on 14. You've got KXIP finishing on 14. You may have one of KKR or Rajasthan Royals finishing on 14. You may have a SRH finishing on 14. So very interesting combinations. People, I'll want to ask you about this. Given that this may happen, a lot of teams getting stuck on 14 points, which teams should be wary of the net run rate factor? I'll come to you, Harsh, and I want to talk to you about Kings 11 Punjab specifically because the net run rate isn't that great. They are in the negative category, although they're not as bad as KKR or Rajasthan Royals, but definitely in the negative category. They need to win one match also to get to that 14. So do you think they should be worried about the net run rate?
Not exactly. They are at a, it's minus 0.49, 0.49. So even if they win one match convincingly, I suppose, as I said, if they don't lose one match, with a very big margin, they win one match with a convincing margin, they will stay at a much higher negative run rate than the others. So, even if there are four teams or three teams who are qualified under that 14 point bracket, then if you see those teams, they are all under negatives. So the only team, which is positive is the SRH. So tomorrow, if SRH wins both the matches, then KKR needs to be worried about.
All right. Okay. I see your point. Kaushik, clearly KKR and, Harsh also mentioned KKR, and we know you've also talked about KKR and their net run rate. You absolutely are convinced that that is a key concern for them because they are really sliding down the scale.
Yes, you see, I am backing them to win the match against the RR. No offense to RR fans or the RR team. I'm not against any team. I do not have a specific one team favorite. Is not my way of dealing with the game. I love all the teams and I wish all of them to do well. But I really want KKR to win this match. But again, they are dependent on how Kings 11 performs, and that is not a very good situation to be in. It's one thing to perform and get the run rate high, but it's another thing to sit down and pray for other teams to do bad. So that is where the problem lies. So one should not get into this situation, but if they are in, I am still backing them. Let's see, because this is the Kings 11 Punjab has a very good team, and you don't expect them to do bad. So
sure,
I would still hope for KKR to do well.
Okay, so let me ask the other two, the sort of table toppers very quickly, Abhishek and Kriti. Very, very quickly, just tell me, do you think any worry for DC, Abhishek, on the net run rate front? Do you think there is any worry at all?
Not really. Unless they win, they lose both the matches. Only then they have to be dependent on others. Otherwise, I think both RCB and DC just needs one win to make that 16-figure mark. So not much. I think I'll quickly add that I think the teams
but
that
you're forgetting one thing.
very-
You're forgetting one thing, Abhishek. As you rightly said, that will be a shootout, right? RCB versus DC.
Yes.
So if
DC.
they both lose their next
both
matches,
they lose their first matches,
yeah.
Then it's a,
and you see RCB is against SRH, and so that is not going to be an easy one, because especially because of Rashid Khan, you've got a champion leg spinner at the top of his powers against two middle order batters who are not that great against leg spinner, who have struggled. Both Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers have struggled against leg spin. So then that may not be an easy matchup. The other, you've got Delhi Capitals going up against Mumbai Indians. And I don't think, of course, Mumbai may want to try out a few things, but
still, it's tough. It's a tough game.
It may not be easy. And like KKR, and I know KKR fans will know this, that Mumbai is their bogey team. It's the same with Delhi Capitals. For Delhi Capitals, Mumbai is their bogey team. I mean, you look at the history of their head-to-head. So if both these guys lose their first match, then the last match becomes a shootout.
It's a very interesting match, yeah. And I think I'll quickly add that Kings 11 Punjab is the only team who is pretty much safe because they play SRH and CSK. So they will, they have to win one big win and they shouldn't be worried. I think KKR is the team that have to really, really have a lot of calculations. I think Joy Bhattacharya back in Calcutta doing all the calculations right now and sending to Venki Mysore.
Okay, Kriti, what do you think? You're still liking RCB's chances. Do you think they should be worried about the net run rate at all?
They should be, because like Abhishek rightly said, if at all they lose to SRH, it's going to be a very interesting match that we'll all hold our breaths to watch. But at the same time, I really hope that they win against SRH. They need to come up with a new strategy. They need to figure something out. Or they just need to pull up their socks. I don't know. I don't really know how it works for people who play cricket because I am a watcher. I watch cricket. But whatever they need to do, they really need to do it to win it against SRH, because then their face-off with DC will be a much peaceful one. They wouldn't have to really put up a fight, so to speak. They'll just have to, they can just enjoy the game itself. With SRH, I think they need to win, because or either way, whichever way, yes, in case they win one of these matches, I think they should be through. But at the same time, if they lose, I don't want to think about it.
I get it. Obviously, if they in a shootout kind of a scenario, then obviously the team that wins goes through automatically. So indeed, it's a very interesting scenario. I'll not ask Rohan at all because his team has a very simple motive, right? They are sitting so pretty on the net run rate factor.
I'll be the most satisfied person when the net run rate comes, because I don't think so. I need to put any argument amongst all.
Indeed. So point 0.3 sort of 0.396 as the net run rate. They have the strongest net run rate after Mumbai Indians. So I will go down to the last question, people. I want you to predict for me which three teams you expect to qualify. Of course, talk outside your allegiance. I know you have a franchise allegiance right now, but realistically, what do you think? Which are Mumbai Indians has already qualified, so we're talking essentially about 6 teams. We're talking about RCB, Delhi Capitals. We're talking about KXIP, KKR, SRH, and Rajasthan Royals. Which of these 6 teams, which 3 of these 6 teams will make it to the playoffs? Abhishek.
I think whatever calculations we do, I think looking at this current scenario, I think MI has qualified. The next 3 will be RCB finishing second, Kings 11 on third, and DC on fourth, is what I feel. Ideal scenario. Unless there is go for, but looks like these 4 teams will qualify, and I think DC will probably finish at 4 and not on third.
Okay, all right. Okay, very quickly, I'll move to Harsh. What is your take?
a little skeptical between Kings 11 and SRH purely because of the run rate factor. But if you see on the realistic factor, I think RCB, DC, and then Kings 11. I think the DC will go a little higher. They will grab the third spot, but ultimately they will be under the eliminators, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, 3 or 4 or 1 or 2 doesn't matter. So if you are in 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. 3 or 4 doesn't matter. But yeah, I think good that you guys gave me the ranking as well. Rohan, what's your take?
I think RCB, DC, and I think a little KXIP, the order which the tables are. I think I'll not change that because that looks very favorable. The amount of form they are all in, I think that is the only thing I can think of in the playoffs as well.
So you got all 3 of you, counting on RCB, DC, and KXIP. All right, Kriti.
I agree. I really do. So yes, RCB, DC, and KXIP, and I think in that order as well. I don't see any change of order here.
Okay. All right. Kaushik, maybe you want
Unless
to...
HRS does something astounding.
That's fine. That is anyway, we have to take that into account. But Kaushik, do you think your team is going to finish in the top 4?
Okay, so I was hoping they will, but I was going through the points table. I see RCB is playing SRH and DC, and I'm expecting them to win at least one game of this. So they will finish at 16 if they win one. DC is playing MI and RCB. That is going to be a tough game. Both the games are going to be tough. So Kings 11 has RR and CSK. They can win both or at least one. So I think, I don't think this table is going to change. I think MI, RCB, DC, and Kings 11 is going to be there in the top 4.
Very interesting. So despite their respective allegiances, we have everybody, talking about the same 3 teams. Let's see if our friends, if Mayuresh disagrees.
I hope something happens like what happened in 2014, where MI, which was not in the playoff contention for in first 12 matches, and then suddenly in last 2 matches, and they did something impossible in Wankhede in 2014 against Rajasthan, who were supposed to be in top 4. So I hope Sunrisers Hyderabad can do that. And because I think out of all the 6 teams, I think they have got one of the most positive run rate, that is 0.3. And they have a match against the 2. I know it's a tough matches against RCB and MI, but I hope they pull up something like that. But my top 4, leaving about MI, I hope I'll go with SRH, but I think it will be, I'll go with DC, Kings 11 Punjab, and I will go with Sunrisers Hyderabad.
My word. So you're basically saying that RCB, who's currently at number 2, with a pretty healthy net run rate, healthy is being a relative term, they will not make it. That is some call, Mayuresh. But that is what makes us Sportsentis, right? I mean, I remember the 2014 edition, as Mayuresh does, and he was pointing to that, and it was some season. We all remember that. Things can change. Things have been changing. So who's to say that they won't in the next 6-7 matches? But hey, it was wonderful having you all people, having all of you experts. Let me just change the view and have all of us. Yes, here we are. And it was wonderful having all you experts at the same time talking about the playoffs. We hope that we see some miracles. We hope that the teams that you've been rooting for, they make the playoffs. But what we all certainly hope for collectively is some fabulous matches. The next 7 matches, let all the 7 matches count towards something. All right. Great, people. Thank you so much. It was lovely having all of you here, and you all have a lovely weekend ahead. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.